ladies, happy Monday. If you guys have been watching me at all lately, you know that Mondays are now my favorite day of the week. And you know, if it's not your favorite day of the week, I think you probably just need a little reframing of what Monday means to you, which is why I think our guest today is going to be so helpful. So I can't wait for you to meet her. So for those of you that do not know me, I want to share with you who I am. My name is Lauryn Laszczak. I'm a mama to 2 girls. I married my high school sweetheart. We live here in Michigan, in case anyone out there is not in Michigan. Hi, Fran. Thanks for jumping on. And, you know, we've been building a real estate business together, and then I also have been building a beauty business for over a year now. So the idea for these Motivational Mondays basically just came from the fact that I have a lot of conversations with amazing, empowering women who are either starting their own business or want to start their own business, and we kind of have the same conversations, and I just think, man, these conversations are so great that they just have to be shared with every woman I know. So that's kind of where this idea came from. So we're going to be talking a lot today about basically self-growth, and so I just thought, you know what, I want to share something with you guys that I have been doing lately that I think has been really amazing for me. Basically, I've been trying to figure out ways to start and end my day. I've tried different things. I've tried the 5-minute journal. I've tried prayer. I've tried, just writing in a journal to my kids. I've tried different things to see like how do I want to end my day. And I found that actually more recently a mentor of mine, he doesn't know he's a mentor of mine, Brendan Burchard, he shared how he basically sits down at the end of the day and says, did I live, did I love, did I matter? And man, when I heard that, I was like, all right, well, that's easy, like I can do that. So every night I lay in bed and I just kind of close my eyes and I recount my day and I just say, did I live, did I love, did I matter? So like if I say to myself, did I live? I'll just like imagine myself going with my kids and my family to the aquarium and like, man, yes, I lived. Did I love? Oh, yes, I can like envision me kissing my kids, holding my husband's hand, feeling love, sending love, like, yes, I love today. And then I just say, did I matter? And I'll just kind of recount like the things I did throughout the day, the people that I helped, small ways, big ways. Like tonight I will probably lay in bed and, just imagine this conversation with you guys, feeling like, yes, I mattered today. So did I live, did I love, did I matter? So something that I think you guys can try and see, how it helps you, see how it helps you reflect on your day positively. So it's been cool. I've been really enjoying doing it. So my guest today, who I'm waiting to see if she's hopping on here, hoping we don't have any technical difficulties, but my guest today is Mikki Gardner. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to Mikki because not only is she a good friend of mine, but she to me is very inspiring. She's been making a transition from what I would call a very successful career in event planning to a new career as a life coach, because it's just been like pulling at her heartstrings. And man, I think a lot of us can learn from that. And I think it's gonna be great for you guys to hear from her. So I'm gonna give her just a minute to hop on here. Hi everybody jumping on. Hi Megan, hi Mallory. I'm so excited to see you guys on here. Let's see who else joined that I missed. Hi Pam, how's everybody's day today? Happy Monday. So good when you feel good on a Monday. All right, I think, nope, not just yet. Hi Bella, hello. What are you guys up to on this Monday? We're waiting for Mikki here. And hi, hello, how are you? Any plans for this Monday? Any motivational plans? Hi Mary, happy Monday. Just giving this a minute, seeing like who's hopping on, what everybody is up to. Are you guys doing anything motivating today? How are you motivating yourself? I can't wait to hear. And then if you guys are watching, as you're watching, hi! Hi, Mikki. As you guys are watching, let me know if you guys have any questions. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add Mikki to the conversation. Oh, there you are. Okay, thanks girl, hold on. Here we go. She's coming. Wait for it. Oh, Mary, I like that. Motivational plans. Oh, yes. All right, let's see here. I always get really nervous at this part because I'm like, oh, connecting.
Hi. So sorry.
Don't worry, you're good. You know what? It's actually nice because in the first couple of minutes, I always have those like, I don't know, those starting jitters. So it's actually good to talk for a while. I feel myself like calming, getting more confident as we go.
Well, I'm in a sheer panic because technology is not my thing.
Well, thank you for being so brave and pushing yourself to like get at it today with technology.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. So there's a lot of people out there who don't know, Mikki is a good friend of mine. We worked together for, gosh, almost 4 years. And you know what I love about this conversation I was thinking this morning, Mikki, was who we were like then, we're such different people today. And like, to me, that is like, that's the power of this. Like it just blows me away. So thank you for joining me here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking. I feel honored. So thank you.
So anybody out there who does not know who Mikki is, why don't you give them just a short introduction so they know who you are?
Okay. So I'm a mom, first and foremost. I've been an event planner for about 12 years. I am an ex-wife, which is, got to put that in there. And I'm transitioning to be a life coach. It's what has really inspired me and spoken to me over the last couple of years. And it's what my intuition's been leading me to and what I am most excited about, aside from my little boy. So.
That is amazing. And I have to tell everybody, I was basically like, we were talking one day and I was like, you need to get on here and like talk from that perspective. Like just throw yourself in there, man. Like you are a life coach. She was like, yeah, I guess so. But that's huge.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's huge. That takes like so much bravery.
Well, I think just being willing to say, we all use those labels. I am this, I am that. But to just sort of put it out there and say, you know what? I want to be something. So I'm just going to do it. And being willing to label myself in that way has been a huge hurdle lately to get over. And so just got to get in it.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people watching feel that. Like I know for me personally, I still don't feel comfortable with some of my labels, right? Like beauty business owner or whatever. Like there's the labels we feel comfortable with. I'm comfortable as a mom. I'm comfortable as a friend. I'm comfortable as sort of a motivator. Like I feel confident in those areas. And then the places where I don't, that's where I find that I'm like, why do we label ourselves? So I think it's very cool of you to basically be open-minded enough to say, you know what, this label was a label and now I'm onto a new label. It's just a label.
Exactly.
So why don't you kind of dive in here a little bit and share with everybody a little bit more of your story?
A little bit more of my story. So I think, I think through trauma, and we all have trauma, we all talk about sort of those first world problems. We have water, right? We have clean drinking water. We have roofs over our head. We're really blessed, right? But we all go through trauma in different ways, and it looks differently for everybody. But for me, divorce and the end of my marriage was a real eye opener, and I think the one experience that truly brought me to my knees. And I had a choice when I got there. I didn't realize it at the time that it was a choice, but I'm either going to I'm going to change and decide what I want to do with my life, or I'm going to keep going on the path I'm on. And the path that I was on was not one that I enjoyed. So, again, really not understanding what I was doing at the time, but knowing there was something different for me. I made a promise to myself to always follow my curiosity, which is something I had never done and sounded ridiculous to myself at the time. But I started to do it. I started to listen to things. I went to adult summer camp all by myself. Which, I'm going again in a couple weeks, super excited. But I just started following my curiosity. And it led me in crazy places. I ended up, I've been an event planner. That's what I do. I bring joy and love, and you were a huge part of that. And I've loved it. It's been a great journey. It's also been a safety net. It's something I know I do really well. I can derive my self-worth from it. I can hide in it. One of the things is I've been transitioning. Everyone keeps saying, well, why would you do that? You're so good at it. Because it doesn't fill me up.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm not filled up, why would I do something? And so I think as I've sort of gone on this little journey, I've really learned that we have to figure out what we value in life, what we want in our life, and then make choices that go along that path and let everything else fall away, which is a really hard thing to do.
Hard.
Right. But I think that's what sort of I've been trying to do, is just follow the path and follow my curiosity. And it's led me through positive psychology courses. It's led me through life coaching, getting certified as a life coach, and really just figuring out how I can make the impact I want on myself, on my son, and on the world around me.
Oh my God. So I don't even know where to dive into that, because there's so much goodness. I think the thing that stands out to me is that I think it's easy to think about this stuff and then never do anything with it.
Yeah.
And that is huge. Like I've always liked how you said, like, since I've known you, you've pretty much cultivated that, just following your curiosity. And when I really think back, I'm like, yeah, those are the times that I was happy, or I was successful, or I did something where I did feel filled up. It's always when I followed my intuition and was confident about it that it worked out. But when I said the thing that standed out was doing it, it's very hard. Like even saying, like, figure out what your values are. It's very easy to listen to a podcast, read a book, watch this live and be like, yep, okay. And then just never do anything. Like never sit down and like write out your values, or have a conversation with your husband about it, or whoever, and like actually be very clear about what those values are.
Yep.
How did you do that? Like how did you kind of, do you have like a set of like, I have 5 values and this is them, or like, how do we start there, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I think that's an ever evolving process, but for me, I know you listened to it too, because we loved it for a long time, which was Just Lively podcast and the Lively Show. She really did a lot of value-based intention work. So I went through and I did that, and I found it really helpful, just sitting down and figuring out, okay, in each area of my life, what is the feeling that I want to have, right? And from that, then you boil it down to a sentence that epitomizes, for a home, I want a clean, safe, beautiful space for me to feel good in, right? So then you take that value, and I'm not saying that was a really articulate value, but if that was your value, then all decisions get funneled through that. So,
yeah.
One of the things, I've really been working on is not overspending, right? Because that's a buffer that some people, some of us use. But, anything I'm bringing into my home, does this create space, safety, and peace? And if the answer is yes, bring it in, right? If the answer is no, probably needs to stay out, right? So by defining what the feeling is you want, you can then start to make choices about what you want to let in or let go of in your life. And I think it's, it's just a process, and it's really figuring out that values change all the time for different areas of your life. It's different. Who do I want to be as a mom? That's a big one. It's always changing, but using that as the guidepost to make decisions, is helpful. And I think we're all on autopilot so much. We have, the ego in our head is like a fire hydrant, just constantly spewing negative thoughts.
Absolutely.
It's
so you have to be very conscious about the things that you're thinking to be able to even say like, oh, this is a value of mine, or this doesn't align. But I think that right there is like, holy crap, that feels like a lot of work to some people,
Well, it does. And I think that that's where compassion comes in, to say to yourself, you know what, I'm a human. Our brain spewing all of those negative thoughts is what has allowed us to evolve as humans. Mm-hmm. When we were cavemen, we needed negative thoughts. We needed to know that we were constantly on edge, that we were ready to run from that tiger if it came to us. You know, our brain looks to seek pleasure, minimize pain, and put the least amount of effort in as possible. That is how we have been able to succeed. That's why we're alive, the dinosaurs aren't, right?
Right.
It's our choice. So recognizing that, you can say, oh, you know, poor brain. That thing is doing exactly what it should be doing by telling me all the bad things that are going to happen if I try to change my life.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to step back. I think compassion's the first step, to just recognize and say, okay, it's actually doing what it should be doing, but that's not going to help me. That's not going to help me evolve to where I want to be. So then I have to choose differently.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's where all the fear comes from. So basically my brain's like, hey, Lauryn, I'm protecting you from X, Y, and Z. And but the thing is, if I'm not in tune with that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I shouldn't do that, or like that's a bad decision, you know, but really like that's just my body telling me like, hey, caution, like caution. Right. But that doesn't mean I can't jump over the caution tape.
No, and
I shouldn't.
Fear is very necessary and very appropriate and very helpful to us. Just across the board, it's a good thing. And so it's really important for us to recognize that and to say to fear, you know what? You're welcome here, right? You're necessary here, but actually I don't really want to hear what you have to say right now, right? Yes. You can stay in the car, but you can't control anything. And, you know, come on the journey with me, because I can't get rid of you, but I can tell you that I'm not going to listen to you.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so next time I hear my brain spewing things at me, I'm just going to be like, yo, stop.
Yeah. And, you know, it spews what it remembers, right? Like that's where the neural pathways in our brain, the brain goes, you know, we have a new brain, the prefrontal cortex, and then we have the old lizard brain. And that's the little part of our brain in the back that evolutionarily has gotten us where we are. It's hooked to the spinal cord. That's where everything happens in the body. So fear, that's where it comes from. It's our gut reaction. It happens instantly and we can't control it, right? But those are those feelings that we have to step back and say, okay, little lizard brain, there's no saber-tooth tiger out there, right? There's no one coming to kill me at this moment right now that I can see. So I think I'm good, right? Yeah. And that's where your prefrontal cortex gets to make the decision and actually change. So our brain reaches back for the quickest thing that it can grab, right? And a lot of times that's negativity. And so it'll go to that quickest. And so when you're having those negative thoughts, it's like, okay, I'm having them, but I recognize them for what they are. And then you can choose.
I feel like I try to tell myself that a lot. Like when I do have a thought that I know is just out there, bizarre. Yeah. If I do this thing, it's going to lead to death, right? Like most of the time, like, no, it's not. Like, I'm not going to die from doing this thing. But I do try to remind myself, like, we were just talking about this. For me, I think it's a lot easier to do things for other people than it is to do for yourself. So for me, if I have a thought, 100% right. If I have a thought that I'm like unsure about, or I don't know, is upsetting, is not my best self, I kind of think to myself, like, if Olivia was thinking this, would I allow her to think this? And I'd be like, hell no, Olivia, you are a confident, strong, independent person. Like, F that. I might not say that to her, but you know, so I'm like, well, if I won't allow Olivia to think this, then I can't think this. Boom, like just abolished, gone. Like, can't even go there. But we have to be, like, to your point, we have to be very conscious about that, like about realizing it, seeing it, recognizing it, and then just diminishing it. Like,
I think having some compassion for yourself, knowing that it's totally part of the human experience, right? And your brain is doing everything it should be doing, right, to keep you safe. And so, you know, you kind of have to think of it as that little, I don't know, it's like a little bad guy in a video, you know, like the little mushroom in Mario or something. And you can just sort of pat it and say, you know, you're doing what you should do, but it's just not helpful anymore. And I think that compassion for ourselves is crucial, because until you can truly have compassion and love for yourself, it's very hard to give it unconditionally.
Oh God. Yeah.
To others.
I'm sure there's a million people out there. I like to say a million because one day it will be a million. But watching this and are like, oh my God, yes, yes. So if you guys are watching and you're like, yeah, I have that little brain pop up all the time, but I need to figure out how to control it. Like, you just give us a holla, because I think it's okay. Like, I think that's the best takeaway from that is like, it's okay to have those thoughts, and it's okay to learn and grow and change from them. That's why I like having the Motivational Monday on Monday. Like, because I was like, I think that there's so many like preset ideals about what Monday means and blah, blah, blah. And then we set ourselves up that way. And it's just like, no, we have to sort of knock ourselves and kind of give ourselves a little push. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, it doesn't have to be that way on a Monday. This could be a great day. And so I kind of hate that amount of negativity. But, you know, we were talking before we got on the call about where I think how to get comfortable with that is like the more confident you feel. And I think that I feel pretty strong in saying, like, I've seen you grow into a much more confident, just true self in the last 4 years. And to me, that's what's so inspiring. And so I'd love for you to just talk about confidence and what that means to you and how our viewers can learn to grow more confidently.
Yeah. So confidence is a journey that certainly, you know, we all are on all the time. And I want to step back one second, because you said something that I think applies here.
Okay.
The use of control, right? Like controlling your thoughts. That is the one thing in the world that we have control over. We have control over nothing. Like, and that's a scary thought, right? It's, you know, and it's based in the Buddhist tradition but it's true. We control nothing. The only thing we control is our reaction to things and our thoughts, right? And so I think coming to understand that, and it's a constant thing, but learning to sort of let go and not fight reality, you know, not fight what is in the world and where you are is the first step. But self-confidence really, and this has been over the last 6 months, something that has changed significantly for me as I've started to really understand it. And that self-confidence isn't something, it's not a state that we enter. It's not something that we sort of just become all of a sudden. We're not born with it.
Right.
It's not externally given to us. It's not innate, right? Self-confidence comes from knowing that we have our own back, that we can trust ourselves, right? And so all of that really begins with staying true to yourself, you know, setting commitments, setting values, you know, really telling yourself, this is what I'm going to do, and never breaking it. And it's as simple as your schedule for the day.
Yeah.
Here's like actually setting a schedule for the day. This is what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and then doing it.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. And if you do that every day, right, you know, and that's the hardest thing, you know, and it's funny because I will do it and then I'll skip a day, and I will just, a couple of days later, I feel like smaller and smaller, because I'm not honoring myself. I'm not honoring commitments to myself. I'm putting people before me. And I can, you know, as a mom, it's very easy to do, you know, put others out there, right? But it's important that we are always, self-confidence comes from that feeling that I know who I am, and I know that I'm going to take care of myself, and I know that I'm never going to break a promise to myself. That's self-confidence, right? Yeah.
That's hard to do.
So hard to do.
That's the first person I will break. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, it will irk me if I don't do it in the time that I said I'm going to do it. But to myself, didn't work out this morning, you know, didn't get up at 5:30 like I wanted, but I'm still proud that I got up at 6, you know, still giving myself a pat on the back, but still, like, you always break your own promises first.
Right.
And this is really important because I know there's a lot of women watching who are business owners or want to be business owners on this call. And this is like number one. I see this struggle first. Like, I really want to have this business. I'm going to give it time. 3 months later, boom, I'm done. It's like, what about the commitment that you made to yourself 3 months ago that, hey, you wanted to make this work? Like,
Right.
You wouldn't tell your kid, like, we're going to the splash pad on Wednesday. Oh, shoot. If you tell your kid 3 days ahead of time you're doing something, you better believe they're going to ask you every day, and they're going to expect it, and you're going to want to fulfill that commitment. But yet for ourselves, we don't do that.
Exactly. And that's where and I think it's fear, right? Mm-hmm. It's not wanting to, it's failing ahead of time is what, right? And that's why we do it. We just say to ourselves, nah, you know, I really want to do this business, but you know, this is happening. We're just failing ahead of time. Right. But having the self-confidence to stand up and say, this is what's going to happen. And I'm going to do this for me. And then every day doing it. And it starts with the little tiny things, right? We can't go from point A to point B, right? But we have like lots of little spaces along the road. So maybe, you know, everybody has a different struggle. Maybe it's, you know, their weight, right? You can't go from, you know, being not a non-exerciser to working out at the gym every day. I mean, you could, but that's not really, it's not attainable.
Probably
it's not, you're not going to keep it going, but you know, you could put your clothes on to go on a walk.
Yeah.
Okay. And walk out the front door and walk back in. Yeah. I'm an exerciser. Like,
yeah.
I did it today. And every day building on that, right? Like just those little steps of, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And then gosh darn it, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. Right. But not allowing, and again, those huge goals where we're going to go from point A to point B, it's failing ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. And I think
right? So,
you get better and better every time you push yourself to do something like that. Like 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been doing the things I'm doing right now because I wasn't in the place yet sort of mentally to feel like I can take those little steps every day. Like I think 3 years ago, I would have been like, well, I'm not where I want to be today. So I would just stop and like start something new, start a new dream. And like, that's something that I've been learning for the last year is like, if I stop, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I actually have to, like you said, put my shoes on and then get out the door and then take a small walk. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I think like we're sort of jaded because we listen to stuff, we watch stuff, and it's like all of these overnight successes that you feel like if it doesn't happen quick enough for you, that you should just stop or that it's failure. And like, really, like you said, it's those baby steps.
It's the baby steps. And, you know, we can all look at everybody's beautiful Instagram photos and, you know, and compare yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy, as Teddy Roosevelt said. And it is so true. The only person that we should be comparing ourselves to is who we were yesterday.
Oh, amen.
End of story.
Yes. And once you figure that out, then there's real joy ahead of you. Like,
yes.
Real joy, not just joy you feel like you should be fulfilling to look like a certain thing or be like a certain person, like real, like internal, this is where I want to be kind of joy. Yeah. But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you know, but and those positive feelings and the, you know, the joy and I just want to be happy, right? We're always telling I just want my kids to be happy, right? That's what you want. That is the most ridiculous comment, right? Because 50% of the human experience sucks. Like,
that's
sucks.
True.
Actually, I think that's a generous amount, right? And one of my teachers, Brooke Castillo, teaches this. When we can learn to accept that 50% of the time it is going to suck, right? Then the other 50%, you're like, right on, right? Like this is where I can get stuff done. And then when that negative 50% happens, you're like, yeah, right? Like this is part of it. I'm not failing. I'm not different. You know, okay, I'm in this place, but I've got the other 50%, right?
Yeah.
But do I want it to be 70% of life sucks? No.
Right.
You know, so I think if we know that at least 50% sucks, we can accept that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that, you know, I've really come to learn that's been hugely impactful, and some people are like, duh, and other people are like, boom, like me, which is that you know, everyone thinks that we have feelings and we're this little ball of feelings that's running around the world and things are coming at us and, you know, that's how it works. Mm-hmm. It's totally the opposite. So we have a circumstance that's happening, a fact, you know, like the sky's blue. That's a fact. Or I'm talking to you. That's an undisputable fact. right? Then I have a thought about that, right? That thought is what creates my feeling. So then that feeling drives my action, and then my action drives my results. And the results always go back to the feeling, right? So if I don't want to feel something, if I don't want to feel anxious, then I have to stop and say, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now. What's the thought behind that, right? The thought might be, you're going to fail. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're going to be a joke, right? Like, these are all the things that are going on in I mean, I can keep going for a while, like those are the things that are going on. And then I can feel that feeling. So instead of, okay, I actually want to have peace and calm right now. So what does that feel? What does that thought look like?
That's huge.
It's huge.
You can stop yourself in a moment too, and basically redirect your feeling if you can realize it.
Exactly.
That actually makes me think. I just started doing this. I actually, this is funny that we're talking. I just did this week. So I took the 3 things that I want to feel. Basically, no. Here, let's step back. I took my values. I actually wrote them out again. I actually wrote them out. And I talked to my husband about it, and I was like, all right, we're on the same page. These are our values together. These are the values that if my kids were sort of in a situation, is this right or wrong? I want them to be like, yes, this is in line with our family values, okay? So then I put those on a board. And then I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to get to those values every day, what's the feeling that I want to feel? Not when I get there, today. What's the feeling? So I actually put in my calendar on my phone 3 words that describe the 3 feelings that I want to feel every day. And they go off at like 9 in the morning and then midday. And I did midday, and then I changed it to later because I realized it's about 5 o'clock that I'm like starting to get like, like I'm up in the morning. I'm pumped. It's a new day. But by 5, I need a reminder that like, hey, if you're going to want to be this thing, you need to feel these feelings. And like, it's just an alert that comes on my phone, and I'm like, oh, and I think it's like a text or a message on Facebook. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just reminded of these 3 feelings. So that could be something somebody could try if they're like, man, I do need to kind of take control of my feelings to get to a certain place. Like, just start to realize, what are the feelings you want to have today? And that's important, because I think of the feelings I want to have when in 10 years, when this thing we're doing right now blows up into something big, right? Big goals. But if I think about that now, hoping I have that feeling in 10 years, like, I'm never gonna, like, what about today? What about the importance of how I feel today, and just being appreciative of what I'm doing today? And so I think that's a really good reminder, like, be conscious of your feelings and be aware of, if you don't like them, how you're gonna change them.
Yep. And what are those thoughts, right? And those, that goes back to, I think too, we have to really recognize, and that's the beauty of the time. We're living in a time that no other human has had the opportunity, the capacity, everything. I mean, it is just unbelievable what we can do. And with all of the neuroscience that is happening, and we're really seeing how the brain works and how everything happens, we can change our brain structure.
Yeah.
That is massive, right? Like, I can no longer really say, this is just who I am, right? I can't change, right? I'm just a sad person, or, I'm just this, right? It doesn't actually apply anymore, because we realize that, through science, so we have all of these neural pathways. Your brain, again, just reaches for the one thing. So that negative thought that's always running around, like, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, or, I could never have a business, or, whatever your thought is, we can change it, but you have to change it slowly, right? And it has to be attainable. And it almost goes, I think you and I were talking earlier, but, if you, use ourselves, if you really want to feel better about your body, right? It's hard to go from, and I'll use the same example, but so I hate my stomach, right? You can't go from I hate my stomach to I have the most beautiful stomach in the entire world, right? Like, that's just positive affirmations, and that, like, you don't feel any connection to that thought. Yeah. Right? Like, you're kind of just, that doesn't work. But I think by taking more of a neutral thought, right, of saying, I hate my stomach. And then maybe saying, I have a human stomach. It's very neutral, but you know, again, you don't have a ton of feeling, but as we slowly change those thoughts, we change our feelings about it, right? We change how we feel about ourselves, right? We gain that self-confidence by slowly working on all of our thoughts that are going on. For a lot of people, they're like, this is exhausting. As my sister said, you know, if I thought half as much as you, I'd want to hide in a hole. Okay, right?
Ronnie says that to me a lot too. He's like, you think about things like way too in depth. I'm like, well, at least I'm thinking about things.
Yeah, because I don't want to just be a ball of feelings that are running around bouncing off of people, right? Reacting to people. I don't want to react. I want to respond to my life. Yeah. And that's the difference. Like all of us are just reacting. And that's where we're seeing the world for what it is right now, is people fighting and going at each other. And, you know, it's like nobody's listening. No one is choosing a response, right? We have to create that space to say, okay, here's what's happening. Here's how I want to feel about it, right? So I have to think this way about it, or I want to be this impact, or, you know, someone really, really hurt me. Having the ability to say, I'm hurt right now. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm devastated, and not lash out.
Yeah.
Right. But to step back and say, how do I want to react to this situation? Or how do I want to respond to this situation?
Yeah.
What is my end goal? Well, if my end goal is to love myself and to be, you know, a good person, or show kindness and compassion to people, well, that takes time, and that takes a response, right? And so that's really, to me, the goal is figuring out, not just being that little ball of feelings that's running around bouncing like a pinball, but directing with that role. And things are constantly going to come in. It's that 50% that sucks, you know, and everything's going to happen. And, you know, I'm like other people. I've got, you know, I'm a single mom. I've got an ex-husband, you know, I've got family dynamics. I'm trying to change my career, you know. Things come at you all the time, but how do I stay moving in the direction I want to go? Yeah. And that's what I care about.
Dang, that is so powerful. Like, I feel like that's why, for me, to not be in that reaction state, that's why it is important for me to like get up early, take time to read, take time to pray, take time to feel more confident, and like confident in the ways that feel fulfilling to me. Like, you know, for example, I used to sit and like, I would always say, like, in the morning I sit and I say my daily gratitude. Well, then I realized, well, no, I'm actually talking for me. I'm actually talking to God. And then all of a sudden, one day I woke up and I was like, it's okay to say that I'm praying right now. And I know for some people are going to listen to this and be like, oh, what's the big deal? Like, I pray every day. For me, it took a lot of confidence to feel okay saying the word God and feeling comfortable. And I even try to push myself, like on Sundays, how I do my like family Sunday selfies, because we go to church, and I'm like, I'm actually just trying to get myself more confident to say the word God and not feel like a poser, or not feel like, I don't know, a certain thing. So for me to start my day off like that and pray and kind of set myself in the right mindset for the day fills me up throughout the day. But I do find myself, because I am a positive person, if I enter a room or I'm in a situation where people are not positive, I feel very drawn back. Like, or I feel like I got to push forward and be like the most positive force in the room and change the vibe of the room. And sometimes when you're with people who aren't on that vibrancy, it's like, no, you just need to get out. Like, so I guess maybe what I should ask here is, if anyone's watching that's like, okay, I want to appreciate my feelings, I want to know how to feel, and I want to make sure I'm not reacting. What do you do if you're set up in a situation or around people on the daily that you feel like they're not supporting that? Like, how am I confident in those situations? How do I become aware of my feelings and stay true to myself when I have these external forces?
Yeah. And that's such a good question, right? Because we all have work environments or family environments that, you know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of negativity. You know, the one thing that, it is a whole can of worms that, you know, like, you know, there's part of me that's like, you know, the one thing that we have to understand is that especially adults, but kids too, people get to be whoever the frick they want to be.
Yeah.
They get to do whatever they want to do. And me, you, everybody else, no control over that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's really, there's part of it that's like, oh, really? But at the same time, it's kind of liberating too, right? Because I have no control over what people are going to do. The only thing I have control over is how I respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I think when you're in those situations, to be able to say, they're allowed to be who they want to be, right? And they're allowed to do what they want to do. But I get to choose my reaction to that, or my response, or I get to choose if I'm going to absorb that. So if there's someone who's uber negative at work and really gossipy, you know, gossip is such a dangerous thing, right? And so to say, I don't want to be part of that. It doesn't mean that you have to say you're a bad person and I'm not going to gossip, right?
Yeah.
It just means remove yourself.
Yeah.
I got to go. Oh, bathroom break, you know, whatever it is, or you just don't engage.
Yeah.
Right. But saying to yourself, this isn't in line with who I want to be. Right. And almost giving that person some compassion and saying, right, like that's their choice, you know, and I believe that every person is doing the best they can at any given moment.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And, you know, and I believe that about myself. I believe that I'm doing the best I can, right? And if I believe that about me, I have to extend that to other people too.
Yeah.
And when people get really negative or really nasty, I have to remind myself, they're doing the best they can. Their best today might not be very good, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is, right? Their best might suck, right? Yeah. But you have no idea what's going on, right? And so it's really about, where am I at? How am I going to respond to this? Or am I going to take myself out of it? And that's where having those values of knowing, you know, who do I want to be in the world? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? And then every day trying to do that. You will fail. We're human. We make mistakes, but we are not our mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm always saying that to my son. I'm like, sweetie, you're human. You are going to make mistakes. Mistakes are the best.
Yeah.
Failure is awesome. You should do it every day. You should do it all the time.
Fail away. That's where you grow.
Exactly. So don't look at it negatively. Look at it like, oh man, did that one wrong. I'm going to do it again, you know, but I'm going to do this next time. Right. And I think when we can take that growth mindset attitude and really look at it as, I'm human, I'm doing exactly what I should do. I'm making mistakes. Right.
Right.
But I'm also living intentionally, and I'm going there, and I'm trying to really, you know, authenticity is sort of that buzzword, but it's true. You know, am I living in line with where I want to be? And if the answer to that is yes, then you have succeeded.
Yeah. Hell yes. Yes. Oh my God. So many women are going to have to hear this. So thank you. I feel like there's so much goodness. I'm going to have to like go back and watch this and like take notes. So thank you for sharing it. And I know I could keep you here for a million hours, but I feel like you've imparted so much wisdom and so much to think about, because I really do believe if we just can get in line, in tune with ourselves, man, like that's where the goodness comes from. Like that's where the growth and the alignment and all those things, like we are put on this earth to do all of that and do it consistently and feel it consistently. And it's okay when we don't, but like, hey, okay, let's get back on track the next day. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, I always ask everybody if you could sit down and write a letter to your former self and like magically send it back to yourself in your 20s. What would you say to that girl? This is a big one.
It is, but I would tell her that she is enough exactly the way that she is worthy, that she is loved, and that she has all the capacity to do anything that she wants in the world, right? Okay. And just know those things intrinsically, and that the universe, God, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, will take care of you.
Yeah.
Having that faith and being taken care of, knowing you're enough and you're loved and you're 100% lovable. That's what I would want her to know, because then from there you get curious, and
that's where the goodness happens.
Joyful. Yep.
Thank you. I'm so excited for you too, like on this new
Thank you.
journey. The funny thing is, you've always, I feel like we talked about it in the very beginning, how now you're trying to sort of relabel yourself. But as a friend and as someone on the outside, like you've already always been that label to me. So I love that you're just fulfilling that in your own self. Like I can't wait to see where you're at in 10 years or next year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Mikki. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Probably mostly on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I'm old, and so I'm trying so hard on social media, but I'm at Mikki Gardner. So it's M as in Mary, IKKI Gardner. And I'm pushing myself out there to post a little bit more, and I'm working on finishing the website for the life coaching. So please check back, and I'll have that up soon.
Sweet. And when you do, we'll post it and we'll share it so everyone can find it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, you guys, if you loved this, and first of all, thank you for joining in. That was amazing of you. And if you loved it and you heard something that you're like, hell yes, I'm going to grow with this, or this person needs to hear it, like share it, share the love. People need to hear this. Like tag a friend, post it on your page, whatever you need to do. We would so appreciate it. So thank you guys. Mikki, thank you. I hope you have an amazing rest of this Monday, and I'm sure we'll talk in 5 minutes.
And yes, and thank you, Lauryn. You are an inspiration, and really, I feel honored to even be in your presence, and I love what you're doing, and keep it up. Keep going.
Thank you.
You're rocking
it. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.